It's worth bearing in mind, oil has been stopped at the ballot box. We won't see those kinds of protests again.
Just Stop Oil have stopped. No more will the orange, high-vis, jacketed protesters block roads, interrupt sporting events, climb on bridges, chuck soup at paintings. They are done. The group say, as corporations and billionaires corrupt political systems across the world, we need a different approach. Hayley Walsh is a spokesperson from Just Stop Oil. Thanks for coming on the programme. What's the different tack that you are taking?
For having me, Tom. So we've achieved a huge amount through our campaign. We've had our first demand met. No new oil and gas licences is now government policy. We've been able to prevent 4.4 billion barrels of oil that are kept in the ground. But now we're realising the scale of corruption. We've exposed how far and huge the reach of the rich and powerful is, how oil and gas is central to it, and how it is transcending all reasonable societal rules and boundaries. They're denying science, they're controlling the courts, they're controlling the media. So it's time for us to regroup and reassess so that we can best address the systemic rot that is going to affect all of our futures.
Right, so is that to say that the climate crisis is no longer the focus? There's something else as the focus here. The focus is what?
The climate crisis is absolutely the focus. None of us can survive without the planet that we live on. None of us have a future unless we can learn to respect the planet.
Even the very wealthy.
Even the very wealthy. But the issue that we have is that the fossil fuel industry is so ingrained in their power decisions. They have lobbyists controlling the government. They have lobbyists writing our laws. The intrinsic grip of the fossil fuel industry and all of those people that are making money from that is going to poison us all, but it is also reaching into every aspect of our society. So it's affecting our health service, it's affecting our rivers, it's affecting our benefit systems, it's reaching into everything. And I think you can't look at a complex systemic problem without looking at what underlies it all.
OK. How is BP or Shell affecting the welfare system?
Well, BP and Shell are still subsidised by the government, and the government are telling us that they have to find money by taking it away in the benefits cuts, and they can't possibly tax the wealthy. If they were to put a 2% wealth tax on the super rich, they could generate £24 billion. Is that not better than taking money away from the most disabled in our society?
So the subsidies that the government are paying to the oil and gas giants are the things that you're going to try and get stopped?
Well, we're going to regroup and reassess where we can most make an impact. The climate crisis underlies all of this, but we need to look at where the power is held and why we can't change the systems that we're living in.
Yes, although we started by saying how you started by reeling off how successful you'd been as an organisation at stopping various barrels of oil being delivered, what have you. But that actually it's not been that successful because there's still a huge grip on society of these oil and gas giants.
Enormously successful. We've made a huge difference. Every time we took action in our campaign, there's been a massive media discussion. We've had oil and gas licences in mainstream media discussions. We've increased the mentions of the Fossil Fuel Proliferation Treaty. We've massively increased the exposure of the issues that we're facing. So a hugely successful campaign. But as with any organisation...
So why stop, Hayley? I mean, if it's that successful, why would you stop?
We're not stopping. We're absolutely not stopping. But
so what is stopping?
Any organisation that's trying to create change in this time where we've got an increase of fascism, we've got people like Trump, we've got people actively acting to put misinformation out into the ether so that people think they've got no choice other than to go to parties like Reform to make social change. We need to make sure we step back, reassess what the needs of the situation are so that we can best have an impact.
So you're not stopping.
Organisations involved in this fight to save our future need to be continually reassessing.
I don't know how many of the protests you've been on, Hayley, but can I ask you directly, are you, as a protester for Just Stop Oil, whatever you call yourselves in the future, are you going to be lying down in front of traffic or climbing motorway bridges or spraying cornflower starch or whatever over Stonehenge?
You'll have to watch this space for what we...
Right, so you're not stopping?
We're committed to non-violent, peaceful, direct action.
So this whole notion of stopping is a nonsense.
For social change.
But well, you're not stopping then.
The Just Stop Oil campaign is finished. Well, those of us that are committed to living in civil resistance and fighting for a safe and secure future for us all reassess what our best use of energy will be.
Hayley Walsh, spokesperson from the apparently ending Just Stop Oil. Better get that high-vis jacket back on. Anna's a new caller in Tower Hamlets. Anna, you want to talk about phones in